Hey everyone, I'm so excited to share with you this lesson. We're gonna cover chords 1 through 7 in the key of C. And let me tell you, this is one of the huge basic concepts behind the Gordon method. Okay, we covered a few things. We covered the major scale. We covered a major, minor, diminished, suspended fourth chord, and an augmented chord. And we're going to apply all of that stuff right now. Here is the key of C for 1 octave. Take a look. Here's the major scale for 1 octave. Start, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. We covered that before. You notice that's all white notes right there. And if you take a look at the key of C, and if you continue it, all of that, every single one of these white notes belong inside of the scale or the key of C. So here is the first note in the key of C. That's C. Here's the next note in the key of C, so on and so forth. Now here is, if you take a look at the 5-finger pattern, and we do our major chord, 1, 3, and 5, like we covered before. That's a major chord. That's the first chord in the key of C. Here's the next chord in the key of C. The next chord, just slide all your fingers over one time. Here's the next chord, the next chord, the next chord, the next chord, and that's back to our first chord again. So here's chord number 1, chord number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1. We don't say 8 because I want you to hear this and this as the same thing. Believe me, without me going into a big explanation, it's going to save you a lot of time in the future, and it's going to cut down a great deal on the work your ear has to do to decode the music that you hear. So, again, here's the first chord, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, 1. The first chord is a major chord, and we know that if we do our 5-finger pattern, hit 1, 3, and 5, that's going to be major. The second chord is a minor chord, and we know that if we do our 5-finger pattern on D, start, whole step, half step, whole step, and we hit 1, 3, and 5, that's a major chord. 1, flat 3, and 5, that's going to be our minor chord. Okay, so the first chord is major, the second chord is minor. Here's the third chord, that's going to be a minor chord, and this is why. Start, whole, whole, half, whole, major chord, minor. Here's the fourth chord, and that's going to be a major chord. The fifth chord, it's going to be a major chord. The sixth chord is going to be a minor chord. The seventh chord is going to be diminished, and this is why. Start, whole step, half step, whole step. Here's 1, 3, and 5, that's our major chord. Here's 1, flat 3, and 5, that's our minor chord. Here's 1, flat 3, and flat 5, which is our diminished chord. Okay, so here are these chords: major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. And we'll count that 1 as the same thing as this other one, like I said before. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. So a good way to remember that, because you need to remember that, the best way to remember that is to remember that chords 1, 4, and 5, those are our happy major chords. 1, 4, and 5 are major, and 7 is that diminished chord, that chord that is different from all of the other chords. So 1, 4, and 5 are major, 7 is diminished. That means that 2, 3, and 6 have to be our minor chords. Okay? Now, when we play our chord numbers, here's the first chord. I want you to play the bass along with that. And the bass is, for right now, you're going to play it with one finger. It can be your pointer finger. If this is the chord with your right hand, that's chord number 1. You're going to hit note number 1 in the bass. If you're going to play chord number 2 with your right hand, you're going to hit note number 2 in the bass. Chord number 3, note number 3. Chord number 4, note 4. Chord number 5, note 5. Chord number 6, note 6. chord number 7, note 7, 1. So, and don't worry, I know that looks all simple for right now, but I just want you to get the concept. So feel free to practice that as well. Practice that about 5 times a day. We'll give you a little break on that because that's pretty easy. And also, I want to give you a chord pattern that we're going to expand to later lessons. Our chord pattern is going to be 1, 4, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. Again, that's 1, 4, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. And that is a very helpful chord progression because those chords, you're going to find those chords coming one after each other often. And we'll get into what chord progressions are later on. Like I said, we use big terms for simple concepts, but basically for right now, just understand that a chord progression is the theory behind how you go from one chord to another chord so that it makes sense. Because this would be like a... That would be chord progressions that don't make sense. So you want to do chord progressions that do make sense. And that's for later lessons. So practice, 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 and I look forward to seeing you next time.